Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show today. It's Helene Gross from Texas, as you see with the hat, and I'm having my dear friend Rainer here, and let's take it away.
Yeah, let's take it away. Well, what do we want to talk about today? The grand awakening and the chaos which it brings along, like the riots, like Black Lives Matter. I mean, I've never heard such a BS. And the people all over the world that started the riots, even in Oslo yesterday, there were thousands of people in front of the Parliament building and demonstrating Black Lives Matter. I mean, really, how stupid can it be?
Yeah.
That people are not realizing that they're falling for false flags. I mean, Black Lives Matter doesn't even come out of the black community.
No.
It's a George Soros invention. What do you know about it?
Well, I know one thing, and that is George Soros and his peeps are definitely making sure that we are keeping our focus on something that is completely different than what's really going on. And that is, of course, the Clinton trials and so on and so forth, and a lot of other people. But Black Lives Matter. Oh my gosh, guys. All lives matter. Look at what we're looking at. We're focusing on an institution or a movement, if you even can call it a movement. Antifa, Black Lives Matter. It's all funded by the same, to cause chaos, to cause splitting up, to cause division, to cause hatred. And you know what? We're falling for it. We're falling for it. And I'm not saying we, but I'm putting myself out there saying, yes, there are a lot of people that are right now not able to see beyond that. And this is what we have to do. We have to wake up beyond that, because what it is, it's an infiltration of the secret societies, the what do you call it? The satanic societies, putting this plants into the government, putting the plants of these evil into the police, into the people. And these riots are paid. People are being paid to ruin our lives. What is that all about?
It was even admitted in a video from a guy who said Soros is paying us. He said it. He has his own website where you can register, and as more friends as you gather to do the same thing, the more money you get. I mean,
and I'm just looking at it from a human perspective. We did not come here to ruin our ability to get out of slavery, and we have a chance right now to get out of slavery. Now you're probably looking at me like, slavery? Why is she talking about slavery? We are all enslaved on this planet right now. We have been controlled by Luciferian powers and by the elite, who have kept us in a sort of prison, an economic prison.
Yeah.
An emotional prison. I mean, we as a people, not only in the US, but all over the world, have been imprisoned, and we don't even see it.
And we were brought there because of our own fear, because of their fear-mongering within the press, the TV stations. Everything is based on fear, because that triggers our emotions. And if we don't reflect upon our emotions, we will never get out of this stuff. We will never see through it. We will remain kind of stupid, as I say. Because if you want to know the truth, you need to gain knowledge. But people would then say, okay, I'm working all day long, 5 days a week, and in the weekend I want to relax. I want to look at my entertainment. Entertain. What is taint? You are tainted. You're tainted with something. You're poisoned. You're held down, And if you say you don't have any time, if you make it a ritual, if you go to bed at night and you read about 10 or 15 pages of a book, how many books will you read during a year? That would gain your knowledge. It would increase your knowledge extraordinarily. And then you will see through. Then you will learn how to control your emotions, to reflect over your emotions and get into a wiser state of being. Then
Sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, no, I finished.
Your emotions are key. And if we're looking at it from a perspective of we came down into this body, a soul came down into this body to experience the physical life. So your emotions are the key to everything. So if there are things that you're holding back or the things that you're pushing down and they're wanting to come up, that's what you're seeing on the outside right now. You see, this morning I had a cry. Okay, I was in a very emotional state because I had gotten a dream, and my dreams are very vivid. In other words, they're very clear. And I had this dream twice because I went back to sleep and I had it again. I was like, oh no. So what my dream was is that many of us are now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We've seen a lot of darkness, but I was seeing people that were boarding up that end of the tunnel. And I was like, wait a minute, are we ruining it for ourselves? Do we have a chance? Are we going to miss this chance again? 1920s. Who was ruining our economic system? The deep state or the families, or it was rigged, okay? So the poor got even poorer and the richer got even richer because then they could buy up everything, right? Okay, again, slaves, economical slaves, right? Okay, then we go into, let's go to the 60s. Kennedy was shot because he was going to go into the deep state. He was going to take down the deep state. He even had a speech about it. Everybody says, oh, it's because of the Bay of Pigs. No, 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 no. It was not because of the Bay of Pigs. It was because what he was about to do. Trump took that now. He's doing that. But before Trump came, we had another. Remember Twin Towers? That was a demolition. It was not, and the airplanes that you see, I'm a film major. And I've always wondered about those airplanes. I'm like, something's not right about those airplanes that supposedly went in. No, they were using a technique. It's not called calligraphy. It's called another kind of technique they're using, because it was a planned demolition. The way that those buildings went down, that was a demolition from the basement.
Some people even say Dr. Judy Wood, I think is her name, wrote a very informative book about it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what she says in the books, but someone mentioned as well that it is very strange. If it is a controlled demolition, you will see the bricks or whatever it is in pieces coming down. But here everything was pulverized. It was completely destroyed.
Well, but that was also because they went in on each floor. There was a middle floor. A month or so before, and this is documented too. A month or so before, they went in to so-called check the different floors. They had floors in between. They had and they were so-called checking it. And I don't know what they put in there, but they must have put something in there as well. I don't remember the details. I'm not going to go in there because I'm not an expert in it. But the guy who owned the buildings, he had
to go to the dentist.
Insurance.
Not only that, and that day he had to go to the dentist. When he
took out double insurance. That guy should be held responsible. Him and everybody else. That is another thing. But what I wanted to say about the trade center, the World Trade Center, was 2 days before, NESARA had been put into law. And guys, look up NESARA. NESARA is our economical freedom. And it is going to be put into law if we let, Mr. Trump President Trump continue doing his work. Now, and then I just want to come to now. Now we're here. All these happenings that have taken down humanity. I forgot to say about the 70s too, where we were, love, freedom and everything. And then the drugs came in. Who put the drugs into everybody? Everybody was needing these drugs now. That killed our unity, our love, our everything, right? So now we're here. We're here, 2020. Are we gonna have are we gonna allow this again? Guys, wake up. This is only to keep us in fear. And that means so the Maslow's steps, the Maslow steps. Right now, we're in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, we can't create. That's what they want to keep us in. They want to keep us in survival mode, where we're thinking, are we going to be having enough money? to eat, to this, to our whole livelihood is being challenged. But anyway, okay. But I just want to say right now, come on, guys, wake up.
It's the first time we try to get free from the enslavement was the flower power generation, where they said where all the drugs came in and they just watered everything out. So it didn't happen. The second time was the Nesara, which was supposed to be signed. Yes. Then the Twin Towers happened. That was actually a major blowback for the good side.
Yes.
And the timelines have been reversed in a kind of way, Now it's the third time. And this time it will happen. This is what we won't go back to the negative stuff. There is no way. Because when you see what's happening, what started the riots, it is this, what I call the false flag of this policeman killing a black man.
Yeah.
There were both actors in that, just to obtain a political agenda.
Yes.
And they got it.
Yeah.
But it's backfiring very, very fast, because the day afterwards they're already exposed as crisis actors. And that this was staged. And the awakened movement, where the people are rioting or protesting everywhere in the world, they will hear and see and read the opposite messages, the truth. It will come upon them,
Yeah.
Because what they are doing, these negative elites, they are trying to divide us, to make us fight each other. And that means that we even have to look at each other to be angry. And then if suddenly you just put up the truth and the people start thinking. This will happen.
And I love it. I love that you're saying that, because, sometimes I can go in, and because I'm such a person that feels people, I can go in and feel what humanity is feeling right now. And that's what happened this morning. I was very, very sad. And the dreams, of course, got me off my course, which is usually, we're going to do this, it's going to happening, but it's going to happen. We're fine. We're jumping into 5 dimension. When we get in there, we're going to be just fine. Well, the thing was, this morning, I just didn't see that suddenly. I was seeing different things. And when I see different things, I have to pay attention. I'm always paying attention to the writing on the wall. The stuff that really does fear or give me some kind of fear is actually the fact that we are on the verge of going into, like you were talking about, another timeline. We're on the verge of going into the timeline where we just are in the flow. Our hearts, that are some of the most important things most important connectors that we have, are opening up so much more. And that's where we need to stay. And many of us star seeds, because I am a star seed, and I know that might be a new word for some of you. But look up star seeds. Many of you are. Many of us came here with a different frequency. We came down with a different frequency to spread this. But with all the stuff that we've all had to go through, in the end, many of us star seeds, and I know many that have taken their lives because it's been too much. It's just been too much, because you're here. You're not here in the physical to get a job and get a whole bunch of money. You are here to help humanity. And sometimes that can be very, very, that can feel very, very tough when you wake up in the morning. You just feel that people are not waking up. You need to wake them up,
Yeah, of course. But it is, like you said, when I woke up, and I was a very restless person, I didn't like my life at all.
No.
I didn't like my job. I changed it frequently, and I was never satisfied. When I woke up, I started to get satisfied.
Yeah.
Now I don't owe anything. I'm poor as a church mouse, but I am damn happy, because I start to know things, and that makes me feel just wonderful. I feel I get the reconnection to knowledge,
Yes.
And now you know where the source is. You can call upon the source, even if I do it sometimes wrong and I don't get any reaction or whatever. But I'm so, trustful to the source that nothing bad will happen to me except for the physical death. But that's not bad.
Well, that's just the physical death.
Exactly.
You never die.
No, exactly. So that if you the more people would talk about death,
Yeah.
the more they start living.
And that is interesting because through, the past life regressions that I do, when they experience their death, they're like, oh my gosh, that's it? That's wonderful. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You are light. You're not this body. You are, and that's, we can go on to that one. That's a beautiful one, because you are really not, you are a divine being. You are God's presence, That's who you are. That's the bigger part of you. The physical part is just a teeny bit part of you. It's not even a tenth of who you really are. And on the non-physical part, that's where we're all connected. And that's why I feel everybody, I'm feeling the despair many people are having, because their companies are still not starting up. Some of them are not open, and I'm not saying here in Texas. In Texas, we're getting going, but there are many others that are calling out for help. In California, for example, and I know a lot of people there, and they are. How come we can protest, but we can't open our companies? Doesn't make sense. I'm glad, because if it doesn't make sense, you start questioning, right?
Yeah. Now we are going towards a wonderful time, but people, we get some drawbacks sometimes when these riots happened, or when 9/11 happened, or when big false flag stuff happens.
Yeah.
Then we get a little bit wiped off of our natural pace, of our strength.
Yeah.
This is exactly what they want. This is exactly what they want, to lower our frequency. But if we keep on being in our frequency, in our knowledge, and with that comes the belief, because of belief all in theory. And if you know the theory of belief, of how God works, how the universe works, and you have the belief based on your knowledge, then things will happen. Really happen. And then you take the power of the negative people completely away. Even when you meet them, you don't have to talk, you don't have to say anything. You can crush them literally with your energy, with your pure presence. And this people can realize that very, very easily.
And that is true. I'm a little bit. You and I might look at it a little bit differently, because I believe in knowing.
I know what you mean.
Which is, when you have experienced it, you have a knowing. It's like you know something, right?
Yeah.
But I know sometimes that to get there, you first have to open up to the belief. But the reason why I don't like the word belief is because in the word belief you have the word lie.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and so, but on the other hand, I understand where you're going.
Trust would be a better word. Trust.
Oh, but that's a big one.
I know exactly what you mean, because if you want to help a person, and I say, I'm not a healer. I never learned it. I don't know how or whatever, but I have a pure heart, and I approach a situation with a pure heart. And with only what you say, because it comes to me what I'm saying. I don't prepare anything in advance.
No.
But when you then talk, you see an immediate reaction of this other sick person. And you start healing the person, because the person starts healing itself. You just put in the right energy and the right words, and it is given to you. And if you trust, you know it works, you did it once or twice, and you trust it will always come to you when you need it.
Yeah.
And
so everybody really is a healer. It's just that we have not opened up to that part of ourselves. It's like in the old days when you're trying to find a radio station, you're trying to find what's it called, stereo.
Yeah.
But until you get to stereo, you're on mono, and then a little bit of noise, and then there you go, stereo.
Yeah.
We're all healers. We all have it. This is a God-given. This is what we were born into. But what is the definition of healing? Actually, how does it work? It works with the frequency. So if I come to a person that is sick, for example, and I'm not, and I have a higher frequency, I work with that person. The person is the healer. I'm just the one that facilitates the higher frequency. And this person, automatically, the body absorbs that frequency and clears out the sickness, for example. That's really what all it is about.
Yeah. Heal, we have it in Germany, good. Heal comes from heilen. Heilen means heal.
Okay.
And heilig is holy. So heal is actually the whole. You just bring in the whole to the person what he is missing.
Yeah.
And then he works with that.
Yeah.
If he is.
And that is something that we all can do. And I like to, you know, with my clients that come and visit me, I always try to give them a tool to bring back home. And one of my tools is every morning I just get up and I let the divine energy go from the top down, the divine golden energy go all the way down, go through my chakras, go all the way down to Mother Earth, center, come back up and into my heart. And then I either expand it from my heart, or if I'm healing, I'll let the golden energy, gold and silver energy come out into my hands, and then I'll use them. But so that everybody can do that. There is no, yeah. So it's just to, if you can visualize it, you can imagine it, you are connecting to it. And then in the end, you'll just feel it. It's just, this happens, you know?
It is, this is why I have such a, okay, belief is not the best word, but trust that this will end very good. I have this trust and I'm so sure about it. Nothing can wipe me off of my trust. Nothing.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. It's just that I'm very empathic, so I'm actually feeling everybody. That's what happened this morning for me. I was feeling everybody's despair, disappointment. I was a little bit disappointed too. I was like, how have we allowed ourselves to come to this? How have we allowed this darkness to come in and completely take over as it has been? We are now letting the light come in. But I guess we had to see the darkness for us to be waking up and really shooting up our light. I mean, opening up for our light, maybe that was the reason.
I read somewhere that we invited the negative forces, not knowing who they were and what they were. And we were very naive. We were living in a higher frequency. We were before living in the fifth dimension already, but we forgot how and what the negative is. You know, we wiped it off our history books and we never talked about it. We didn't know it anymore. And we lived in a frequency which says nothing bad will ever happen to us, because we didn't even have the word bad anymore. And then
that's how I was living before.
Yeah.
That's how I lived before. I did not believe there was any negative.
Yeah.
I didn't believe in the dark forces. When people told me that, I was like, no, that cannot be true. That doesn't exist. It only exists if you allow it to exist. And then, of course, I had to experience it. And then I understood,
Exactly. And now we are experiencing it once again. And to go back into the fifth and how we do it. And this will remain in our history books in the future. And we will never forget. And then these things will never happen again.
Yeah.
This is then, I made a podcast, my first podcast. I was telling a story, a childlike story about these two societies, where the ones was negative and the other ones were positive, and they were naive. They didn't know anything bad could happen. Then they were taken over. And this is the start of my series of podcasts, what is happening in the world, why it happened, and how the future could look like for us.
And that was something that I was a little bit sad about too. I said, our innocence, our children now that are growing up in this chaos, their children, my grandchildren, for example, I know how beautiful it is to look into their eyes and see this pure innocence. And then when they grow up a little bit and then they experience stuff, and especially now, there's fear inside their eyes, and that really, really, that disappoints me in humanity, you know, because I'm like, wow, here's a pure being that is so filled with love is now afraid of a lot of things, and which she wasn't before. I mean, that really hurt me when I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness. And there's nothing I can do except for explain to her that we're going to going towards better times. But right now she's not seeing that. She's seeing what's happening. She's seeing what it does to the family, you know.
Yeah, she would need teachers who know, who can hold her, learn her how to keep her frequency up all the time.
Well, that's what she does when she's with me. I work with her on that.
Good. That's good. And you should learn the parents. You should learn the parents as well.
Oh, but you see, the parents are wonderful in their own right, but they don't see eye to eye with me.
There you go.
That's okay. That's okay. As long as I get to the as long as I'm able to work with. I mean, I've had a young 6-year-old come to me once, and he was having asthma, and it was so beautiful. He came in, and I told him, close your eyes and go inside and see, because I could see that he could see, right? And he went in, and I said, what do you see? He says, I see black. I said, yeah, let's go in and let's clear that. So we cleared it from him. I said, okay, take a deep breath. He took a deep breath, and he was like, well, you know what? Mom has the same thing. So he ran out, picked up his mom, took her in. Now, Mom, you lay down. And he started working with her, and I'm like, oh my gosh. In his kindergarten, he's doing it with everybody now. Everybody who has having a cold or anything, he comes over, he just removes it from them. And his mom calls me. She says, his dad is an MD, and he's never seen anything like it.
There you go. These children are born with more DNA strings, you know.
Yeah, they're multidimensional. They actually have all 12 strings.
Yeah.
So they are completely able to see in between dimensions, time and space. I mean, they're able to see everything. So I love working with children because of that. You know, they really are awake. But that's what I'm thinking. That's why it's so sad when you see a child that is in that age that could be completely open, just closed down because of all what's happening around.
That's why I want to have them vaccinated, you know.
Of course they want to.
I want them chipped and all that, you know, to close down their abilities.
Yes.
And it will not happen. They try everything, but people are waking much faster than the negative can spread now.
Well, they have opened a can of worms because they've made all these mistakes, and people have had to say, wait a minute. What's going on here? Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So if that's a lie, then everything is a lie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've miscredited themselves. That's true.
Can you imagine when people are waking up? First, it takes many years. It's like a little lake, and you have a water flower in the lake.
Yes.
One day, and the second day you have 2. The third day you have 4. Then you have 8. Then you have 16. Let's say after 20 days, the lake is half full. It takes just 1 more day to make it full. And it's the same with the awakening process. I told the people in Norway we have about 5.4 million people. And over half of them are angry at the government, angry at the system. They just don't know where to put on the finger, you know. So if we start to wake them, it will happen in 1, 2, 3 days. Everybody will wake. Or at least half.
People are mad because they don't see the solutions. They just see the darkness. They don't see the solutions. And that's why we need to bring in the solutions as well.
Exactly. This is why I'm traveling around now, try to bring some solutions. And the best solution is if they find their own power and live in their heart chakra. Yeah. There is the power. Yeah. And if they keep the frequency up, they will start gaining knowledge through the heart.
Yes.
That's
what I wrote about. That's what I wrote about in 2012 in my book, and that was that, you know, I was being taught to stay in the higher frequencies, because I remember one day I did one of those remote viewing, and I went into the Pentagon, and I came back with some deep, deep, dark beings, and suddenly I started getting physically sick. And I didn't know what to do. And then I was being told when I went into the meditation next day that I needed to clear myself. And I clear myself of what? Well, you have some dark energy. We told you not to go into the Pentagon because that was a very dark place to go. And I was like, well,
I'm sorry. My dog, somebody knocked on the door, but they can wait.
Yeah.
Bianca.
That's good. I have a dog. I have 2 dogs that do the same. But anyway, I came back and I got physically sick. Or do you want to? She's not going to stop.
I have to shut it up. Just 1 second.
Yeah. And while he's gone, I want to continue saying that sometimes we do things against our better knowing, and I didn't know that I was going to be actually bringing home an entity because I was just remote viewing. But that does happen sometimes. I learned by my mistake. I wanted to see what was going on in the Pentagon. So anyway, sometimes we access things that we're not really probably supposed to access. Or are we?
So I am back. I'm so sorry about that. Bianca, come
Yeah,
here.
I love the fact that you have dogs too, because I have here in Texas, my doorbell is 2 dogs too, you know.
Okay, and she is barking like terrible when somebody comes. It was a lady, I'm watching her dog sometimes, and she came just with a bottle of wine and some stuff for me, you know. She always wants me to pay, and I said, to have dogs is a privilege. You can't pay it with money.
No.
You know?
No. Yeah.
Okay, you were talking about, what were you explaining?
Well, the reason why I went to the Pentagon is because there were a lot of things that I kept getting dreams about that I needed to go and check out. So sometimes I do this, I put myself as a fly on the wall. I do that sometimes with the president. He doesn't like flies. That's like the worst thing. He's like, flies. Oh, he doesn't, he's very, very, very meticulous. Sometimes I sit in the Oval Office with him and listen to him, what he's saying. Anyway, but I had to go, I wanted to see what was going on, not in the Pentagon, because you see the Pentagon, it has five stories up, but there's 5 stories down too. And then there's a big, huge cement, and then there's like a big block of cement that is dividing everything, and then you can go even further down. So it's really an interesting place. But what I was saying is that when I came back here, I got sick. I got physically sick because I brought in an entity. And I know many people say, oh, that's crazy, you are crazy. And I know people around here thought I was, including the family. And they took me to the doctor. Doctor says, can't find anything. I'm like, no, because it's not on this level. It's on a different. So when you wake up, sometimes you wake up to the fact that you are on multi-dimensions. And for me to be able to access that kind of dimensions, I had to go into a lower frequency to not put information, because if light goes into dark, the light starts shining in the dark, right? So I had to get myself into a lower frequency in order for me to get into that place. But what I want to say is that sometimes we do this, sometimes we access other dimensions. Sometimes we have a deja vu. You know what a deja vu is? You're actually accessing a part of your life that is going on right now. Now my dogs are doing the same. It's a dog day today.
It's a dog day, yeah.
Yeah. But you're actually accessing a part of you that is in the now, but it is on another dimension.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's all deja vu is.
Yeah.
And when I do past life regression, I access, together with the person I'm working with, their past lives, which actually is a simultaneous life, but just in another time period.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that, but that's.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. It's just so funny hearing the dog, and my dog was making a noise here. What does it mean?
I think that they are in sync in some way.
Yeah, they want to talk too. Next time we make a video with our dogs.
We can do that. I'm a dog whisperer, so we can talk, see what they're telling me. One of my dogs keeps on telling me that it's about time for her to leave this planet, and I'm like, oh no, I'm having a hard time with that one.
Yeah.
Because she's a beautiful being, and she's been with me through so many things. Anyway.
Yeah.
I had her since she was a puppy. She's like this little.
Okay. Mine was 3.5 years when I got her. And that's my 6th dog now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had always 2 and 2 together, you know.
Yeah, I think it's good to have two dogs,
Yeah.
so they have company and that they can irritate each other, but also keep themselves healthy. You know, there's
Yeah,
something about.
my dog is getting loved to death with my 6 cats. They're
Oh,
always around her and they want to cuddle in, and my dog goes always, "Arr." It's getting too much for her, you know. It's
she's
quite,
probably she's older too, right?
she's now 11 and a half.
Oh, she's young compared to mine. Mine are 14 and 15.
Okay, okay.
My last dog in Sweden, he turned 19 before he said goodbye.
Oh my God, and he got old.
Yeah, no, mine are going to. I feel that. Well, I give them good food, but the dog in Sweden, oh my gosh, he was such a. He was one of those that as soon as you open the door, he ran off and went off onto, I don't know. He was known very much around the area. Everybody knew who Bumsa was. He was one of those dogs that I think he has some puppies around too. You know, he was totally.
He was
crazy.
an explorer.
He was an explorer, but I ran marathons with him. He was one of the best dogs. I mean, he was a border collie mixed with a lab.
Oh my God. Oh,
So
especially a border collie.
I loved him. I mean, that was a dog that I could ride my bike downhill and he would run around me barking, "Can you not go faster?" I'm like, really? Yeah, he was great. Yeah.
Talking about animals, the lives of the animals will change as well. But you know what I was wondering about? We learn about nature, and nature is actually very brutal, especially when it comes to the animals. They're eating each other. And I'm wondering sometimes, have they always done this? Or is this only in 3D and the lower 4D? Because if you know what we need in our body, it's the photosynthesis.
Yeah.
And we actually could live off the sun, but we are not yet there. Some people maybe are.
Yeah.
Why are animals so cruel and kill each other? Why is that? Because I think it's something they learned from us.
Yeah, I think
Cruelty.
so too. Yeah, I think so too.
Because when I watch videos sometimes on YouTube, you see animals which actually don't fit together, helping each other, being best friends.
Yeah.
Like a lion with a little antelope or whatever, saving, protecting her. It's fantastic. These things happen now. Within the last 10 years, you can see it regularly on the videos.
Yeah.
Things are changing. It has an impact on the animals as well.
We had an African safari not so far away from where I'm living here, and they brought in giraffes and you know, antelopes and ostriches and everything. And I'll never forget, I was sitting and enjoying an afternoon coffee at the place just to watch the animals, because I love coming there because it has the feeling of you're in a savanna here in this area that I live. It feels like you're in Africa, especially in this place, because she had the energy from those animals. And it was so funny to see the eland. I think eland is like an antelope, maybe not, more like a mixture between a buffalo and a cow, and an antelope. I don't know. But if you look at it, that's what it looks like. It has a little bit of those animals. And the giraffe, had never seen a giraffe that was the same as him. He took care of this eland who was like miniature size. It was like an elephant and a mouse. I mean, it was so funny to see. And when he brought his whole head down to make sure that this one was fine, because this one was giving birth, because this one was pregnant from somewhere, not from the giraffe, of course. But it was just so funny that he took care of this. Yeah.
It is an incredible world, you know. And what we should do is supporting the energies instead of getting tipped over.
You're right.
Pushed back into the negative. This is so important because it has an impact not only to us, but it radiates 360 around you. And the stronger you are in your heart frequency, the vaster you radiate all this.
Yeah.
And
And that is our power. So that's what I was going to get to. So another thing that I was learning while I was writing the book was I was channeling this book, and another thing I was learning was, and they said, no, you weren't learning, you were just remembering. Okay, another thing I was remembering, that's what we're here for. We're not here to learn, we're just here to remember who we are, was the ability to transmute negativity through your heart. So you can just by bringing the energy of love to whatever situation is going on, even to the top of a tornado, you can bring love up there and peace and calm that tornado down. I've done that several times.
Yeah.
Me, a whole bunch of other people have done that several times. So our energy, our heart energy is healing. It is healing the frequency. And what we're also opening up to is that this energy, you can bring it in, you can heal yourself. We're going to be self-healers. We don't need to go and heal somebody else or go to somebody else's place to heal. And I have a feeling that that is what he's bringing in too. Trump is bringing in the light. That's another thing that we can heal ourselves with. The infrared, the light. Remember he was talking about the light beds?
Yeah.
So our abilities to go on these higher frequencies clear everything. That's what happened to me. I suddenly, when I was sitting in meditation 10 hours a day, suddenly I was clearing even my ski knee. I mean, who would know that just by being still and going within, you can clear any kind of issue that you have. Everyone can do this, because if it wasn't an issue before, then you know that you can heal it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a place called Vipassana. It's all over the world, where you can go for 10 days, go inside yourself, meditate 14 hours a day, and you start 4 o'clock in the morning. It's for 10 days minimum, and you will see your body totally regenerate.
That would be something for me, I guess.
And it costs nothing.
It should, yeah, I would.
I wonder if you have it in Sweden, Denmark, anywhere. Do you know Vipassana?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Otherwise, you're going to have to come to Texas, and then you drive. We set you off there first. I probably will do that too. I'll probably go up there again. I'm an old student, so I have to pay, but you don't have to for room and board and everything. You just have to sign that you will not leave before 10 days is gone.
Oh my God! You know, I'm sitting still for 14 hours. I don't know if I can manage that.
I have to. Well, so you have breaks where you go and you eat, and you come back. And you sit again, and then you have breaks where you do walks, and then you come back and you sit again. But it's about 14 hours a day.
Okay, well that is good. Yeah, that sounds good.
But when you sit, you sit still.
Yeah.
That's.
You know, I don't think it's a problem to sit still, because I realize it sometimes when I sit, everything hurts. But as soon as I get into a stillness, you don't feel anything anymore.
No.
And you're just perfectly happy. And then you don't want to move when you have that. You don't want to. If you have an itch somewhere, it doesn't bother you, you know, because you just don't want to move. So I can get it. As soon as you get over this first, let's say, training sessions or whatever, until you get there, you can go. It's the same with meditation. Some people have terrible problems going into meditation. It takes them a long time. But when you are there, you can go on forever.
I have, and here in the U.S., many people take a lot of things because they don't have time to think and don't have time to relax, don't have time to do anything. So for them to sit in a place like that is very, very torturous. But the important part is that once you go within, and nobody talks about it, but you start healing yourself.
Of course, you know? Yeah. Because it's your cell level, you're vibrating completely different. Yeah. You're in the calmness, you know. In this hectic world, we are kept in a vibration which is very short and hard vibrating, you know. When I heal somebody, put my hands on their shoulders, I get pictures in my head of the sea. And the sea is a quite strong wind, a little storm or something, and you see the waves, you know, smashing against each other. It's foaming, it's white, you know. This I get the pictures. And then after a minute or so, then the sea is almost getting totally calm. And the waves are slowly moving, completely calm, everything. This is the energy I feel in the person's body then, they're completely calm. They're sitting still, they're almost sleeping.
I know, it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I as a child, I would pick up sick animals, plants, everything, and heal them. And I think as about a 6-year-old, the first time I ever felt death was when I picked up I ran to my grandfather because the bird wouldn't come back to life. It had a worm in it, I was, but I was sure that if I put my hands on it, it was going to fly away like it always did with everything that I did. That was my first time I felt death, but yeah.
By the way, I read somewhere that birds are very important in our lives for the earth, especially the singing birds.
Yeah.
Because they keep the frequency alive, the frequency steady. I never heard.
I remember when we had the chemical trails that were going over here. I lived close to some military bases here in Texas, but I remember thinking one day walking outside, I'm like, where are the birds? Where are the birds? They had been setting this chemtrails. Now they don't do it anymore. Trump stopped it, but during the whole Obama time, we were having chemtrails the whole time. I was trying to tell people, hey, wait a minute, look up. That's not normal clouds. That's not the way normal clouds look.
Yeah.
And the birds are stopping. They're not singing right now, and this was freaking me out because I was like, wait a minute, birds are not singing. Something's wrong.
Yeah. For the awakening process, what you're mentioning, for the awakening process, I said before, people should keep themselves in the heart frequency, but they should also be aware of what are the dangers to get wiped off this heart frequency, like chemtrails, like false flag operations, like fear through media, like music, which is not analog anymore, but digital. And digital is breaking our frequency because digital goes like this, where analog is nature waves.
And the 440, the frequency of 440 hertz, which was made under the Nazi time to keep people off balance. But go into 432, go to YouTube, check out some videos that have the frequency of 432 that keeps you in alignment with your heart and with Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So you're completely right. Music can get us off, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't understand why I didn't like music that was newer. I just felt my body was saying, no, you don't like this. I like older type music because it still has the analog.
Exactly, and the melody, and the heavenly frequency, and the songwriters were brilliant. This was what the Flower Power generation brought out. Really.
And I still love those songs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And it's just perfect. Even the harder rock at that time was a melody in it,
Yeah.
And knew how to make music. Today, it's really awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, people would say to me, you're getting old. I said, yeah.
No, I don't see that. It's not that we're getting old. It's that we are sorry, I just needed to check something. It's not that we're getting old, is that we are, we just feel, and if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. And that's another thing, discernment. Discerning when somebody says something, when you're looking at a politician talking up there, look at what they say, look at the what do you call it? The body language, and feel, does it feel right to you? Does it feel like it's going in the right direction? I know a lot of people say, well, I can't trust Trump. I said, well, he's having to play chess. So right now he's not, his heart is open, but his heart is not completely open because he's constantly having to make sure that what he's saying, because it's going to be stirred and turned around, that what he's saying is getting to the people that are awake, that are seeing this symbolism, because he's doing everything with symbolism right now.
Yeah.
Because he can't speak straight because of all the stuff that he's dealing with right now, the deep state and everything. So he's having to disinform us a little bit.
Yeah.
But some of us get what he's saying.
Yeah, and he's very good at, because it sounds a little bit stupid, he's repeating everything. One sentence, he's repeating. I said, come on, it's enough. You said it. But this is going, he's manipulating the people as well with that. So that the message goes deep inside and stays there. This is why he makes these repetitions all the time.
Hypnosis, you repeat
Yeah.
something 3 times and it goes into the subconscious of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah.
But all the other politicians are doing the same. It's just that he's doing it with his heart. That's the difference.
Well, the difference between a good politician and a bad politician is the bad politician can talk for half an hour without saying anything.
Yeah.
And they're trained to do that.
Yes.
And it's so horrible to see, but everything comes out to the open.
Yeah.
And people are discarding now, they're looking at the politicians as almost evil now. They're writing on Facebook with the Norwegian politicians. They say they're open, they're evil persons. This is not normal what they're doing. That, you know, everything is coming out.
Yes, and I'm very happy that we talked today, because I think that many of us are feeling what's going on, and we want it to be the good part. We want everything to happen in the right direction, and when I'm looking at it from a 5D perspective, I see everything is going in the right direction. Everything is divinely timing, so there's nothing that's wrong. It's happening right now. It's just that sometimes we you know, some of us look at it like, can it really be true? Can this really be happening? You know, because we want it to happen today. I want the Jasara and Nasara in there now.
We are the creators of the coming next world.
Yeah.
And if we want to be creators, we need knowledge, and then we need to manifest things and not fall into the negativity with the least little thing which is happening, you know. Stay in our heart and manifest. And besides, when you have knowledge, you know it's true what you're saying.
Yes.
You just feel it is true, and that with that you manifest it. I mean, it's amazing. It's so powerful. People should really start to look into this, because this is what's the difference between higher dimensions and the lower.
Yeah.
And this is what they call love. And people should please don't look, when we use the word love, as just a cliche.
No.
I just gave out a video earlier today. What's the difference between love in 3D, men, you know, from man to woman and so on, from persons, and love, the universal love? What's the difference? And
the difference is a lot of it has to do with you're not needing someone else. It's
exactly.
It just flows.
That's what I'm saying. If you have the love, found the love within yourself, you really found your heart, how it is working, and you listen to it, then you have control. You love yourself, and then you can love somebody else, because you're giving unconditional love. And besides the universal love, there is something else which could be used in other words. It is the truth, and the truth will set you free, but the truth is damn hard. It is direct, and it doesn't hide anything.
Well, when you open your hearts, like we were talking about right now, if you open your hearts completely, you know, as a child, you had something called the higher heart and the heart. So the higher heart is your thymus gland. When that is open together with your physical heart, it is you become like the sun. You shine that love. But most of us are hiding behind hurt, sadness, whatever has happened, trauma and stuff. So it's like, oh, I don't dare love anybody. No, it's really about loving all at all times, everything, because everything is love. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides, you mentioned the word trauma.
Yes.
Which is an interesting word, actually. Trauma, in German, Traum, you take the A away, that it's called Traum, and that means dream.
Yeah, I know you said that.
That means you experienced something, and it is in you. You experienced it. It was so horrible that it was almost like a dream, you know? Yeah. Or you get nightmares. You wake up, you saw something in a nightmare. Or you dream something which wasn't good for you. It gave you a shock. But that means actually that you're supposed to look at it.
Yeah.
Try to remember it and take it up little by little. Look at it. Because it's the fear which keeps you from looking at it, which keeps you from healing from this. Yeah. So our psychiatrists and our psychologists, they try to give you something to hold on to, but they don't take this trauma which is deep inside you, they don't take it out for you to look at. It's still
But
there.
that's the difference. That's the difference between going to, and I have a gentleman coming in here in about a half an hour. So
Oh yeah, we are
yeah,
over.
no, but I have a gentleman coming to me that has gone to all kinds of psychiatrists, gotten all kinds of medication, and his father calls me. He says he's not getting better. He's actually getting worse. And I'm like, yes, because he's still carrying whatever that dream, that trauma in his body. He's still carrying it.
Yeah.
And so he's coming to me today because he says, yeah, because he can't function in real life anymore because he's just it's a downward spiral for him.
Yeah.
And what he needs, like when you were saying about the healing, he's going to be needing both the healing on an emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual level, and he's going to be needing to clear this trauma that he's been carrying around. And it's if you continue carrying it around, then you get a physical ailment from it. That's really what's happening with the emotional. If we're in a trauma, like you say, but if we hold on to it, we end up having a physical ailment from it.
Exactly.
That's what many people don't understand, and that is. I wish the way that I work with people is so effective that people say, but wait a minute, I don't need to come to you every week for like 10 years. I'm like, no, 1 or 2 times and we're done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You do regression with that or something else?
Yeah, so I use regression therapy. I use something called deep emotional release or deep trauma release. I use theta healing, which is, of course, the God healing. And then I connect them with our higher selves. So we psychically can walk into the body and actually clear it. And then also bring in sometimes the child, if it's from a childhood trauma, I also bring in the child to heal the child. So that's all in one time.
Yeah, very good. I read this exact same thing, what you are describing now, in Dolores Cannon's book, where she described it, where she goes very deep into regression, and then this trauma thing comes up, and the trauma is in the body, this little boy, which is grown up laying there on this bench, which is in the little boy hiding under the bed. And having this discussion with the boy until the boy comes out and goes to the light and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. This thing
works. It has to work like that, because then for me, I heal the children. I don't do it exactly like Dolores does, but I heal the children and integrate it together with the person again. So the healed part, forgiven, coming back into the body. And people say, oh, I feel so much more me. I'm like, yeah, because now you brought back. And the way I came upon this was when I was 40, sitting, drinking margaritas in Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, inside a pool, when they have the bar inside of a pool, sitting there looking over the Pacific Ocean, drinking my drink. I'm 40 years old, and I'm like, where is that tough 6-year-old? Where is she? I need to find her again. Because she wasn't scared of anything. And that's how I got, that's about 15 years ago, 16 years ago now. That's how I put that part in too. Oh, I need to heal that part. So if I heal that part, bring her back into me. So I have this spunky 6-year-old that when she wants something, there's nothing that can stop her. I brought that one back, healed her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm a force to be reckoned with, because now whatever I think, it will happen. It's like, yeah. Anyway, not to toot my horn or anything like that, but that was how I figured out how to bring that into the therapy as well. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Now we are actually a little bit over time already, but we went from one topic completely to a different topic, but still it belongs together. Because what we have been around, in the different kinds of topics which seem not to belong together, this is in the world we are now.
Oh yes.
How to connect all this, because everything has to do with each other anyway.
Yes. Yes.
From dogs to healing to trauma to Black Lives Matter, everything is connected.
White lives matter, yellow lives matter, red lives matter. I don't care.
Yeah.
Furry lives matter, feathery lives matter.
Yeah.
Even Mother Earth matters. Of course, Mother Earth matters, but
you,
I'm just
if you think,
like everything is important. We have to connect with everything.
if you think of the word matter, it matters.
Yes.
Could mean two things, right?
That's true.
Matter.
Yes.
Matter is not everything. It's just, as you say, a tenth of your being, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say Black Lives Matter or White Lives Matter or whatever, then it's only a tenth. The holiness matters, what we are about. And if we get from this matter into the higher, into anti-matter, then we have our whole. Then we wouldn't need Black Lives Matter or White Lives Matter or whatever. Then we are just beings, natural beings, cosmic beings, you know, and we have everything under control. This is what they want to disrupt, but we are not going there.
No, we're not going to allow it.
No.
Okay, I really love this. This was very, very powerful, and I thank you, Rainer, and thank every one of you that is here. Subscribe to our channels. We have 2 different channels, but subscribe to us if you want us to come as speakers and delve down into some other matters. Please let us know and connect with us below, because we are interested in hearing. If you liked our videos, give us likes. You know, I mean, we need to connect that way. Anyway, from the studio in Texas, I thank you guys for listening, and thank you, Rainer. Rainer, you can have the word now.
And thank you. I say goodbye from my little place in Lillehammer, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.